Good morning, friends. Today, Sunday meet is here, and we are going to have discussions and understand sharing on medicines, the first medicines of your Metamedica that we used to get encountered. And usually it is asked that we should, uh, for any type of the problem which is arising suddenly, we should use these medicines. So today topic is Aconite nap, halted life with a sudden change. This change is subject. I am going to give you the vivid view, the wide spectrum of these medicines, its utility and its limitations and understanding. So let us now share the slides so that we can have a better sharing now. So it is Econite life map, life halted with the sudden changes. Now, what is the meaning that of the Econite? What is the meaning of the halted change and the sudden change, halted states and sudden change that we are going to see in this medicines? Now, this presentation is dedicated to our founder, my father, Dr. B. Sahni. Uh, Under his guidance, we understood many of the aspects of homeopathy. He was my father, he was my guide, he was my philosopher for my life. So I pay my gratitude to my father today for presenting this lectures to you all. Friends, sudden changes bring profounding effects on the life situations where mind seems to have stopped. Now, something happens in your life suddenly, then there is no time to think, and you don't feel like it is a stupefied state of the mind. It creates suddenly, and where we don't have the solution, neither the solutions and nor the region you want to know. So we don't know anything. Mind seems to have halted, stopped, state. This is a very important features coming during most of the time in our life. And these situations, at these situations, we are puzzled with what is going to happen and what is not going to happen, whether it will be good or whether it will be bad. These concepts are very important and and the people, individual people, they behave differently with that. So we are going to discuss this phenomena, how the people behave, how the people surrender during and have a response to the sudden changes coming into their life and how it is responded. This is very important, and the response to the sudden changes. This is the effect that we have to find in our medicines today. What type of the effect is created in the Aconite naps? This we are going to discuss today. Mind gets stuck only with the imaginary death-like situations. Often these suddenly stop situations which comes unexpectedly, a situations where one is having a normal retail routine filled with the thoughts of the happiness. Everything is going well. We are happy, we are joyous, and we are enjoying the life. Suddenly something comes, and sudden it seems that now everything is going to, so U-turn, life taking a U-turn. This is situations is called the suddenness effect. Mind busy with work or routine activities. Suppose you are actively working in your clinic, you are actively engaged in your professions, in your teaching, whatever professions you are, and it is a routine way. And surprising moments come when there is a sudden things comes and where you cannot get rid out of the effects. So only dominating thoughts at this moment are what is are what has happened. The questions is there. What has happened? Why it is, I'm like it is like that. So these aspects are very important. Uh, Being unaware of problems which have just entered into the life, cannot think about any possibility to escape or fight against the. Neither you can escape, neither you can fight, neither you can surrender. Nothing can be done. And this aspect is you need some solution. This aspect is very important. And paralytic state developed suddenly into the mind. These changes may come from unknown sources and from all those probable causes which never had faced earlier. That you have not expected. It was not there and it is coming from the unknown source. This is very important things that you have. So when anything enters into the life domain, only questions arises: why it has happened? Mind do not think about the solution. It becomes difficult to make any strategy to get rid of the situations. And these situations where everything have uncertainty finds inability in finding any solution. Friends, there are many such situations. Now it is not only one way. There are many such situations where you get stuck. So this, we have to some 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 unexpected things is gifted to you, and at that moment also you don't feel that, hey, why I got this, why I have. So either it is a joyous, either it is a grief, or either it is a shock. When it is at extreme, it plays a very havoc, a changing phenomena aspects where the life has halted. Both effects of the joy and sorrow, which keeps mind away from functioning before the realization. So during that most joyous moment and during the most shocking most moment, both are the halting moments for our life. Friends, these states of life are almost unconscious with nature, unconscious in nature with the consciousness. So this is the consciousness. This is the consciousness. Uh, uh, we are conscious, and at that time, suddenly the mind become unconscious. So it is only with the latter thoughts which comes afterward. We try to now, after waiting for some time, we try to understand what has developed, what is the situations, and what has changed. Friends, a strength of mind and ability to have intuitive thoughts coming from mediated mind get into the action within a very short period with momentary nervousness. So momentary nervousness is followed by the your meditations, your thoughts where you find the solutions. Mind which are not confident have delayed response and suffering remains for longer period. If you are confident, the people your problem will be solved very soon. So Aconite, there is a great and sudden sinking strength, fainting of attempting to get up with anxiety, restlessness, numbness, tingling, and formication. Everything is paralyzed. Everything and sudden sinking, sudden sensations is there. Why? Why? The questions, only questions in the mind. What is there? What is happening? What is happening? These situations are very important to think about this medicine. So, Aconite nap, what is it? It is also known as the monk's food or wolf's bane. It is a perennial herb often grown as an ornamental plant due to the attractive blue and dark purple flower. See the beautiful flower. It is the ornamental expressions with the poisonous root. See the very unique meeting point is there. Ornamental presentations, but it looks very good, but the roots are very poisonous. Friends, aconite is the most dangerous of these toxins. It is most noted as a hard poison, but it also a potent nerve poison. Raw aconite plants are very poisonous. They are used as herb only after processing by boiling and steaming to reduce their toxicity. So the beautiful looking flower have the poison and the toxicity within their heart. Aconite naples has been used since ancient time as a poison used on spears and arrows for hunting and battle. As a wolf's bane, it was believed to repel werewolves and real wolves. Ancient Romans used it as a method of execution. Aconite nap is the native of the Western and Central Europe, where it is considered one of the most poisonous plants, and aconite poisoning is rare in North America, where it does occur. It is generally due to confusion with an edible plant or unintentional ingestion by the children. Aconite poisoning is most common in Asia due to the widespread use of the herbal medication. In Hong Kong, Aconite is responsible for the majority of the serious poisoning from Chinese herbal preparations. While the source of aconite, especially in China, is usually aconite uh, carmichael, chuau, or aconite cacao, the toxicity is similar to the aconite napellus. Therapeutic medicinal plant. Allergic therapeutics use of an aconite include treatment of joint and the muscles. These are the traditional use. As a tincture applied on the skin, it is claimed to slow the heart rate in cardiac patients. Also claim reductions of the fever and the cold. Poisonous effect is onset of the symptoms within few minutes, after few hours after the swallowing. The severity of the aconite poisoning is related to the rapid onset of life-threatening heart rhythm changes. Other symptoms can include numbness and tingling, slow or fast heart rate, and gastrointestinal manifestations such as nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and diarrhea. Respiratory paralysis and heart rhythm abnormalities can lead to death. The treatment is symptomatic and supportive. There is no specific antidote for these medicines. A distinct sometimes found concern the name monkshood and wolfbane. Some consider the white or yellow flowered species Aconitum lyconotum the true wolfbane, whereas the blue flowering monkshood Aconite napus is probably the better known as the better known of the two species. The latter found a medicinal monastery garden. The two species contain different poison, however similar, and both have lethal effect. Name and origin. The Greek word equinotus is composed of echo, that is pointed, cone, and econ being a dart, javelin, which perhaps reference to the plants used as a arrow poison. In the arrow tips of the arrow, the poison is that's why it is known as the arrow poison. Therapeutics suggests the name is derived from the town of Econ. Now another legend is that it because its origin was in the land Nekon, it is in Turkey, and it may be named after the Mount Aconnetus in Minor Asia. So these are the probable meaning legends related to this medicines. Spittle of Cervaceous. Aconite, according to the legend, it was near this mountain in Pontus, where the plant grew from the spittle of Cerberus, the three-headed hound of heads. When folk hero Heracles drew up the best born its internals. So it is the name is the spittle, the three-headed horse, and because it grew there, it is also known as spittle of Cerberus. Homer, in 800 BC, gives the first account of this myth in the Iliad. 8 centuries later, Ovid embellishes the story of Metamorphosis 7, where Cynthia Scottish media attempts to poison Theseus with aconite. Aconite features also in Metamorphosis 6. Athena sprinkles Arsine with aconite, upon which she was transferred into the spider. So these are some of the themes, some of the story related to the aconite poisoning, used as a poisoning substance to kill. According to the Ovid, aconite was also called flintwort or stone herb by farmer of the region because the plant found growing on barren rock. Pliny and Elder agree with Ovid in that he states the name aconite was derived from Acon, the rock. So many legends, so many meanings are there. So many meanings are there. It is also known as Hecate after the goddess Hecate. Hecate is an ancient Greek goddess with witchcraft associated with crossword gateways, knowledge of herbs and poisonous plants, the soul of the dead necrosis, and shape shifting. In this latter aspect, he is called upon. The lichen aconite is also thought to have been used by settlers in hallucinogenic flying ointments. Then Diascotes in D Metromedica 78 volume also states the name Naples coming from the Latin naples, a small turnip. Naples is known as the turnip. So it is a small turnip because the roots are like a small. This name was also given by Diascotes. Diascotes distinguishes two species. Aconitum lycornatum is mentioned as an anodyne in eye medication and was used to kill the panther, wolves, and other wild boars. Then the second species, Aconite naples, was used to kill the wolves. That's why it was named as the wolf bane. Aconite poison was used for the murder also. The most poisonous herb of the Europe, aconite has been long history of poisonous murder. Pliny reports the Calpurnius Vesta, who killed his wife in sleep by touching their genital with his finger, which was smeared with aconite root extract. According to Pliny, aconite was hence known as telephonon, female bane, or omen killer. Aconite brought in contact with the mucous membrane of female genitalia would increase instant death. Pliny suggests yet another name, Aconite scorpia, was based on the curved shape of the root, which was thought to resemble the scorpion tail. And most famous suicide of the time was the Cleopatra. The famous Cleopatra, priestess for the time, has been killed. She had made a suicidal attempt with these things, hemlock, opium poison, and rather, which is said to be the more poisonous than the cobra. And then Germanic folklores are there. Aconite was sacred in Thor, the Norse god of thunderstorms and lightning. In German, this connection is related to various folk names given to the plant, such as Sturmert and Thorvald. The names are often simply based on various interpretations of the shape of the flower. Aconite naples appear in Christian iconography as a symbol of death and a symbol of toxicity in European nature. It was classic in Christian medieval monastery garden. There exists a fictional aconite of its use by Christian monk in Gustav Meyricks' novel, The Cardinal Naples. The story is about a brotherhood named the Blue Brothers, who believed that Cardinal Naples, the founder of their order, had transferred into the very first aconite plant, and further aconite plant had derived from him. The symbolism of this ritual blood baptism lies within the planting of the human soul inside the Garden of Eden and fertilizing the plant to grow with the human blood of the human. And in our Indian history, aconite, in India, aconite is sacred to the Shiva, who is also worshipped as a god of poison. According to legend, the essence of poison, halahal, spread from the whirling motion of the ocean and milk Samudra Manthan when it produces a holy cow. The god was frightened and ran to the Mount Kailash, where Shiva sat meditating and asked him for help. Shiva took the poison in his hand and he drank it. The poison eventually stuck, and upon which his throat turned blue. Because of this, Shiva is also known as Nilkantha, or the blue throat. Though Shiva saved all beings from becoming poisoned. Only a tiny bit of poison has dipped from his hand, which until today flows in the vein of the blue aconite, the other poisonous plant. So all the poison was drank by Lord Shiva, except one drop, and which fell on the ground and grew as Aconite napellus. And now coming to our homeopathy, if Syncona was the Newton apple for the homeopathic discovery, Aconite was the remedy by means which Hahnemann was able to meet the most of the conditions which they that were treated by the bloodletting. It was Aconite more than any other remedy which paved the way for the disappearance of bloodletting from the general medical practice. Hahnemann discovery has been turned into a best friend of the nursery. Aconite in potency above third is a perfectly safe medicine for any age. Now these are the common names of this aconite. Common aconite, monk's root, Aconitum column simplici, Aconitum vulgare, the large blue wolf's vein aconite, helmet flower, friar cap, French aconite, Napple aconite, German Napple stomach, blower stomach, Italian Napello, a Spanish name is Napello, Dutch is monk's cape, Danish is Grimke, Sweden is storm bat, and Russian is Borex. In synthesis 9.1, there are 7,066 rubrics related to the aconite. And aconite is more closely associated with the rise and progress of the homeopathy than any other medicines of the America. And one of the deadliest and most rapidly acting of poison through Hahnemann's discovery has been turned into the best friend of the nursery. Although aconite, on account of the short duration of its action, might seem to be useful only in the acute disease, yet it is an indispensable accessory remedy in even most of the obstinate chronic affections. The system requires diminutions on the so-called tension of the blood vessels. This was the remark by Dr. Hahnemann that when the blood congestion is there, blood vessels are congested, tension is there in the blood vessels. This can be used in both in the chronic disease and the acute disease. The central theme that runs through the aconite is excessive excitability in the nervous and vascular system. So excitement, it brings excitements in the vascular system and the nervous system. These systems can easily be upset by different stimuli, and modern civilization is rife with innumerable stresses and appointment, grief and loneliness, loss of lovers, child or parents, fear, fright, failures in work or an examination, financial insecurities, financial ruin, stress from the weather, chemical and medical stimuli, environment, pollution, etc., which if sufficiently severe can shock an individual. The aconite case will not be developed from all these stresses, only from some specific one. Aconite is well known for producing inflammatory conditions from sudden exposure to cold, dry winds, but it has become increasingly apparent that there is another stimulus known as sudden fright that also calls upon the aconite states. During Kent's time, aconite individuals was typically vigorous and plethoric, and he vividly described them as such. Today, typical aconite case has been changed to great extent. Of course, some of them still fit in this description. They are usually sympathetic, vital, and extroverted people, yet despite this apparent robustness of the appearance, they are excessively sensitive to the mental shock. Sudden stress and overexcitement. It brings on the intensity, anxiety, stress. The aconite individual will not develop into their symptomatology when the shock is caused by financial ruin, the examination failure, grievous love. They have a specific vulnerability to sudden stresses that can create the stimulus overexcitement of both the circulatory and the nervous system. Shock, frighting, and the freezes. This is the pathway for the shock, getting shocked, frightened, and the life becoming freezed. So frightful shock obviously affect or stimulate the nerve system first, and secondly vascular system, while the freezing it, the vascularity system that is primarily affected. So chilling experience, when you feel very shivering with the fear, with the chill, with the heat, the sudden mobilizations of the vascular system, sudden intense constriction or dilation as a result of the strong stimulus. The symptoms are fear dominates and associated with every expression of the life. Dominating and frightful fear and the fright are the important basic factor for this medicine. Whenever there is sudden exposure to cold and at the same time immediately violent inflammatory reactions uh, in the system or organ, we should think about the Aconite. The deadly poison, immediate effect, and the violent result you will get. If it is deadly poison, immediate effect will be there, and the violent results you will discover. So the theme is sudden, violent, and immediate. Sudden, violent, and immediate. Fear of imminent death, even in which the patient experiences a fear of imminent death, such as when someone is threatened with a pistol during the robbery. Automobile accident and earthquake are other type of the stresses that can especially provoke the Aconite state. Entrapment in an elevator, riding on a train through the dark tunnel, and sudden experience of electrical blackout. So these are the example of the sudden changes that is happening that can cause the fear. Death will come on suddenly. The thing is that death will come on suddenly. In the acute state, the fear is that they will suddenly die at any moment. In chronic state, the fear is that death is nearing. It is feeling that death will occur within the next few months or up to the year or so on. So sudden tumultuous situations bringing about fear, heat, flushing, strong palpitations or erythema, and visually coldness, blueness, a small pulse, and death, vertigo, often one-sided numbness of the face and body can result. So this is the tumultuous stimulations created by the suddenness. Sudden episodic spells. The pathology takes the form of separate crises which last from about a few moments to the few hours. Irregular. Now, they come in fits in sudden acute crisis and can come at any time and as a consequence of any stimulus. They are clairvoyant. This suddenness that they can expect that the things is happening. So the clairvoyant perceptions is there. The remedy has often clairvoyant experiences and in particular clairvoyant dreams. Expressions of the pre-sentiment of death predicts the time of the death, and while it is not always expressed in exactly these words, the patient's comment will have the same implications. Reproaching others, and for all these things, we don't reproach him, don't find himself to be the causations. He says the other people, so he will be blaming other, shouting, blaming other. Recognize patients have a disposition to weep. They moan and complain bitterly with fear, despair, and loud whining. Great impatience is characteristics of the remedy. Time seems to pass too slowly while waiting. Equinite patients have a desire to be the first in whatever they are doing. It is difficult to suppress these inclinations if they do try to suppress it. A boastful attitude usually results in. A similar result is appearance of another deeper disturbance applies when with discharges are suppressed. Anxiety attack. When the crisis comes, the violent intensity, the panic, fear surface to an unbelievable degree, and storms that overcome psyche. But despite their anxiety, these patients will still try to control their fears, and if their efforts are successful, a kind of internal trembling and shaking occurs sometimes invisible to the others. Exaggerations. Increase chronic aconite conditions are typified by intense exaggerations. The small things seems to be very difficult. So this is the normal expressions of exaggerations. Anxiety is tangibly ameliorated by drinking cold water, followed by apathy with the cold sweats. Sadness and indifferences. Now this results into the sadness and the differences. Completely different picture now. The excited patient now becoming depressed and where they are restless. In this particular state of mind, he wins and hauls pitilessly and weeps without cause. Music is unbearable to him because it makes him sadder. He desires to be left alone, shuns other people, does not want to talk, and if someone asks a question, he answers only in yes or the no. So sadness and indifference state of mind appear sometimes after a long period with very severe anxiety attack. So sudden attack, anxiety, sadness, and indifference. This is the pathway, the symptoms of. In first stage, the sudden attack, there is anxiety. It is followed by some depressions and thereafter the indifference. It seems to be a kind of reaction as if he could not endure his panic anxiety and longer and therefore found an escape in the state of emotional indifferences or a suicidal mood. Sympathetic and extroverted people, their feelings are easily expressed. They are sympathetic and sometimes anxiety for the other. They are very concerned about their relatives and friends, and they react exactly when something happens to someone about whom he cares. They erupt emotionally when they hear news of something bad happens to a friend. The reaction is out of proportion to the significance of the event. Aconite have reactive sympathy, very important symptoms. It consists of an emotional eruption or explosion such as, oh my God, what shall I do? Such reactions arises especially when the patient is suddenly faced with a severe health problem or even worse, an accident concerning one of his relatives. So fear are of closed space, fear of the dark, fear of the heat, the fear of earthquake, the fear of twilight, anything that is happening suddenly, the light, electricity gone, and the fear comes in. Confusion. The chronic patient complains the idea haunts him and that he cannot get rid of them. His mind is very active, but he will say that his attention is distracted while reading. He cannot finish half-written idea without great effort. On attempting to think of one thing, the another includes followed by the another. So there is a rush of the thoughts, the train of the thoughts coming, which makes them the person confused. Alternating states. The moods are alternating. Laughter is followed by the crying or the gloomy face, the happy face, gloomy face. All things alternate. So they may be alternate attack of opposite moral symptoms. Delirium is also very important, carried by worry, fear, raving, and sometimes unconsciousness. In this state, the aconite patient may cry out with a staring look, with convulsive motion, with great heat in the face, dilated pupils or convulsions, speaking in a childish, nonsensical way, and of exactly hate or talk about the death. Irritability. The aconite individuals may have an angry disposition, be quarrelsome, morose, and peevish, and desire to be alone. She makes reproaches, take every joke in the bad part. The slightest noise is unbearable, and the irritability may be accompanied by oversensitive light to the touch. Aggravations in the night, especially around the midnight. Now the causations are fear, fright, chill, cold, dry wind, heat, especially sun, injury, surgical operations, and the shocks. And sudden and acuteness of the complaint, very violent and frightening. Burning pain, pains are burning internally. All pains are burning internally. Acute pain and extreme restlessness and fear. Then numb. Part feels numb, enlarged, burned, tingles, and prickles on the or crown. And there is a burning thirst, high fever, dry burning heat, generally ameliorated with the perspiration starts. The desire for the company, they are plethoric and strong persons desire for the company. Pains are intolerable, drive him crazy, he shrieks with the pain. So much pain that he will shriek like that. Inflammations of the skin, anywhere, and intense restlessness and the fear are one of the common symptoms, general symptoms of this medicine. Some particular rubrics are there: face red, hot, flush, swollen, or rising. The face becomes deathly pale, or one cheek red or the other pale. Pulse hard, quick, and full. Coryza, cough, pneumonia, otitis media, inflammation of throat, ophthalmia, etc. after exposure to cold or dry wind. First stage of bronchitis, pleurisy, and pneumonia with acute high fever and lack of perspiration. Facial neuralgia and restless redness of pain, full half tingling formications and despair from pain. Retention of urine caused by shock. Newborn children immediately after the birth, main remedy is there. Now modality, it is aggravated by not comfort in any positions, dry, cold, overheated, motions, twilight, tough, touch, lying on affected side, music, noise, light, tobacco, rising in a bed, and then ameliorated by open air discharges, repose, warm, and the perspiration. The body part or mind is greatly affected, brain is affected, nervous system are affected, heart arterial circulations are affected, viscera, chest and abdomen, joint and right side and the left side of the body. They have the great aversion to the tobacco. They desire beer, cold drinks, wine, alcohol, bitter drinks, and brandy whiskey. They are worse by wine, fat, beer, butter, fruits, hot foods, pork, sweets, warm food, and better wine. They feel better with the wine, coffee, and the cold drinks. So, nucleus of this medicine is elements from sudden, violent, and painful. Where the mind gets stuck or fear of the death, restlessness with tossing and tingling numbness, formication, flushing, and or palpitation. Aggravations in the midnight. Elements from exposure to cold, dry wind, acute inflammatory complaints, or fright, shock or fright recent in the past, constitutional death, and the burning is the important phenomena. These are the central point theme for this medicine. So, one important poem is there. My word and then some an aconite. Beneath the raging sun, aversion, in the bezel of my eye, beyond every galaxy, the hatred I feel inside. Very beautiful poem by Tanisha Khatri. He still said that 10 times that amount of aconite stock back at home. No, the trouble really was. Here was lovely woman with a light brown eye and radiant face, with whom it was wonderful to be talking, and yet he would never be able to kiss her. When he go home back, he would hardly believe that he had been sitting here, right next to such radiant woman, and that she had wanted to save his life, whatever the cost. This is another beautiful poem by Alexandra Ploy. So, friend, there is a beautiful quote by our Rabindranath Tagore, one who have never known the turbulence of life, in whom the petals of the mysterious flower within have never opened. Such a one may see happy, may see a sense his single track mind and may impress the multitude of its power, but he is ill equipped for life true adventure into the infinite. See, this is a beautiful uh, message from Rabindranath Tagore, and this flower plant stamp also depicts the aconite. So thank you very much for listening me. And if you have any questions, you can ask me on risath@gmail.com or put me on WhatsApp 9431020622. So thank you. And with this, I close this sharing. Will So friends, uh, we are see many of the students, many of the people have joined here, and I am happy. If you feel have, if you can have some questions, and you can put me on my WhatsApp or the email ID so that we can answer you properly. So with this, I close this session and we'll meet again on next Sunday. So goodbye and have a happy Sunday today. Thank you very much.